biggest memories that I share with everybody is I remember not having slippers in elementary. And I had like a 15-minute walk to school. And I would walk to school barefoot. I would be in class barefoot.
Bro,
The only
what
kid.
about the concrete, the hot sun?
You rush them. It gets too hot, jump on the grass.
Wow.
You know, you go back and forth. You know, and that was just like my thing. And I just, at the time we were so broke, like I couldn't have slippers until like the next paycheck.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, but for me, like my favorite thing that I always, I don't live in Nanakuli anymore. I haven't lived there in 17 years now, but I still like represent hard. And that's because I based my whole, how do you say it? Nanakuli was like my parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have mom or dad, so.
The streets raised you.
Well, in half of it, right? Like, because the community, they say it takes a village, right? The community was so caring. Like, everybody's mom was my mom, And so I was nurtured by the culture, The only thing I didn't get from the culture was a father figure. And that's when I looked to the streets for, So I made a lot of mistakes, thinking a lot of bad stuff that makes you tough, were making me tough. And they did make me tough, but I did make a lot of bad decisions because of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was beautiful. I miss it every day. Like I would love to move back to the homestead. Unfortunately, we sold the house.
Yeah.
I have no any family ties there.
Now he lives in Kahala.
I wish. But yeah, it was great. It was interesting being like one of the only Filipinos in a homestead.
Mm-hmm.
And,
but nobody questioned it, right? You blended in like everybody else, right?
Yeah, you're just a Filipino guy around here.
But even when you think about like the ethnic Hawaiian people, like growing up, as long as you don't have like white fair skin, they just think you're local. We're not thinking like, is that person Hawaiian? Is that person like some sort of Polynesian? You're just like, oh, that person belongs here. That person looks like he's from here.
Yeah, well, you should have, bruh. So I don't know why this happened in the 5th grade, okay? For some odd reason, I don't know what the premise was. The teacher had asked the entire class, who is not Hawaiian, stand up. And at the time, I had just learned that I wasn't Hawaiian. So I was like, oh, I guess I should stand up. Me and the only other best friend I have here, which is a Japanese girl, we both stand up. And from that point on, bro, I got into so much scraps.
Really?
Which was good, a good thing. To be fair, I'm the temperamental one. I started most of them.
Oh, okay.
So I got into so much fights after that until God bless his soul, Paul Nahinu, new kid at school. I got jealous because he was getting attention. And then one day I'm pushing him, like, fight me. Bro, he open hands me, rings my bell, start tearing, and I was like, I lost. I lost this fight.
How old were you?
I must have been 5th grade.
Wow.
I think I was 5th grade because I remember he was 6th grade, but I was held back 1 year. And but for that was a very humbling moment for me. I really appreciated that looking back,
Totally. And then so when you were growing up, you ended up graduating from Nanakuli, or?
Yeah.
Okay. And then during that time, were you into rapping or just the freestyle rapping? We have the battles we see on YouTube.
Yeah.
Were you into that stuff back then?
Not until like freshman year. I think freshman year was my introduction to rap music, and that's when I fell in love. I heard a few songs. I heard Dre Day, Regulators. I don't know if you remember Regulators. Yeah. And then I got introduced to Bone Thugs and Harmony. And when I first heard Bone Thugs and Harmony, I just was like, I want to do that. Like, that is my calling. I get to express my feelings, and I get to be cool.
Yeah.
Because all rappers are cool. So I started getting into it. We had this kid that came by, who's from Nanakuli, went to IAL, so he's a little more hip to things. He was into lowriders. His name is Duke. But he had a rap group. And I wanted to be in the rap group. So I followed these guys, you know, they welcomed me in. And long story short, we started recording raps on a karaoke machine.
How did you record it on the karaoke machine? Like you put tapes or cassettes inside?
Yep, cassette tape.
okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You probably never seen a cassette tape, have
No,
you?
no, I'm 93. I was born 93, so I'm on the tail end of that.
Okay.
So I was still VHS. I would buy the Dragon Ball Z VHS and stack them together so you have the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it makes a picture. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was CDs and VHS.
So we got fancy. Like, so we basically like, we would have the instrumental playing, record it live, rapping, one take, right? We would take the cassette tape that has the recording of us rapping, then we would play it again, record on another tape. So that one tape already has our vocals. Then we would add our ad libs and hype stuff on the second take. And
smart. You guys were ingenuitive.
oh well, we loved it. It was our we went double wood our first release. We sold 20 copies.
What did you call it?
Double wood.
Double wood.
Yeah, we was close to platinum. But we yeah, I fell in love with rap ever since. You know, it was just a great. It was good for my soul. I felt it right. You know, like I could express myself. I could say whatever I wanted, and nobody could say nothing because it's art. You know.
Yeah.
My first rap, I dropped an N-bomb, bro.
Well, different times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know either. I'm also like 14 years old,
Yeah.
mimicking what I'm listening to, right? So my first 2 bars, you know, I'm just like trying to make it like in this rap biz, and then my friend stops and he's like, "Bro, you're not black. Don't ever do that again." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sorry." So
wow. So, this is like, I guess, just your first couple years after high school. And did you, when you fell in love with this music, did you think that this was going to be your career, or were you still looking for other career opportunities? Was this more of a hobby at that point?
no, this is what I wanted to do.
Oh, you just knew.
I was gonna chase it. I chased it. I went as far as my heart told me to go. You know, I was like, this is what I want to do. I studied the game. You know, when you graduate high school at the time, you're presented with only like 2 what they claim successful options, right? You could either go to college, which is what they encourage everybody to do. I firmly did not believe in college, and it works for some people. I mean, you went to college, right? It worked for you.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like the idea of, you know, going into debt for education, you know, and whatnot. And it just, at the time, I was smarter than my teachers, I had to believe. So I was like, and the other option was the military.
Yep.
Right? And to me, at the time, I think the signing bonus was like 10 grand or 20 grand. And I was like, $20,000, but I might die? I'm like, I think I'm okay. You know, and we're broke. My house is broke, and we're poor. And I just immediately wanted to make money. So I just went into the workforce. And all the while, you know, rehoning my craft, trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. By that time, I had already linked up with a record label locally. It was a record label called Landmark Entertainment. And they used to do these, they had a couple big artists on there locally, like Big T's and I forget who it was. But they also produced a TV show on OC16 called My TV Jams.
Oh, okay. Like MTV channel?
Yeah. It was like the local version of, or the more hip version of Overdrive Live. Do you remember Overdrive Live? So this one would do more of like the urban stuff and pop stuff. Anyway, so we already had like a taste of like what the business is like, you know, so we got to like record in real recording studios and etc. And so that definitely was a motivating factor to keep doing it. You know what I mean? We're already on the move, so yeah.
Well, when's the first time you got paid for doing this?
We're still waiting.
Checks in the mail. They said it was coming in 20 years ago. Must have been sent to the wrong address.
No, we got paid in the beginning, but a lot of it's work for hire. You know, like you get paid like this to drop this verse or to write this and etc. So everything's like one time payment. We didn't understand like residuals and all that jazz in the beginning. It wasn't viable at the time to just wholeheartedly dedicate to it. And even to this day, like hip hop in Hawaii is not a big product to sell. There's not a lot of an audience for it. You know, not a lot of people consume hip hop from Hawaii outside of Hawaii. And that basically is because it doesn't fit the ambiance. You know, you look at Hawaii, you're not thinking of driving beats and struggle, you know, poverty. And then you're also competing with a market that doesn't even involve your race, you know? So we still had a dream though. And we still wanted to do it.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked with Aloha, Mahone, K-Love, and Osna as well about these things. And it's, yeah, kind of like what you said. It's a hard market to get into.
Yeah.
And it's not that we don't have hip hop in Hawaii. It's just not as big as other marketplaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because there's a lot of artists here. And there's so much to be said. It's just, yeah, how do you sell it, right?
Yeah, and how do you relate to other people outside of Hawaii, you know? Like, you know, we got the Boto Bangas, you know, they rap about, they're like the new gen angry locals. And they're rapping about things, but I mean, it's only relatable to people in Hawaii when you're rhyming things with Boto and Wachu Faka and all that stuff, you know? It's hard to reach into a new demographic outside of the islands with that kind of stuff.
But we pushed it. We pushed it to the limits. Like, but I never stopped working. That was my thing. Like, I don't, even though I want to do this, I still need to. I was taught from a young age to always work. My family
you
always
had
worked.
to out of necessity. Right?
Yeah, everybody's just do a job, get paid, no matter what. But we had a very, very successful run in the early 2000s, around 2005. This is like during the launch of YouTube. YouTube turned 20 this year. And so once we saw these outlets, we wanted to take advantage of it and try and use that to bring our platforms higher. Since there's no radio stations playing hip hop, whatnot, at least there's a space where we can do things. I enjoyed producing videos at the time. So we had a new record label formed out of the old one where it called Tiki Entertainment. And this particular record label was, for lack of better terms, almost like your death row of Hawaii. You know, we took all the hardest Hawaii hip hop artists and put them under one roof. And we were able to generate a lot of noise. You know, we did all of our marketing materials, our recordings, videos, everything was in-house inside of this warehouse in Kaneohe. And when I released my second album, we had some unfortunate mishap with our owner. And with that, we just did one full-blown run of my project. This was the most best-selling project from the record label. But they went all out also with the promotion. You know, we had a lifted truck with my face on it. Wow. We put up wanted posters all over Hawaii that said wanted for blowing up Hawaii. So technically I was promoting terrorism. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
this is after 9/11 also.
It's like, dang. But it worked for us, you know? We were able to like sell out Pipeline, which is like 1,000+ venue. And we made a whole lot of noise. It's just weird now because when I look back at the noise we made, can I say the same noise now? I'm older.
Well, I mean, different times as well. Like, for example, 10,000 views on YouTube back then is like equivalent to like 100,000 views. It's like inflation. It's like view inflation.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, it was massive though. It was a good time.
Yeah, I remember watching some of the Angry Locals videos, but this is probably a little after. This is like more 2009, 2010, around that area.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So, how did you end up getting your MC name?
Krystilez, I had, at the time, there was a big surge in the popularity of a champagne called Cristal. But they would always call it Cristal. Sipping Cristal, sipping Cristal. And I liked that part of hip-hop, the jiggy success part, but I also was an underground head. Like, I love the battles, I love the raw grit stuff, and so I wanted to fuse the two. That's why it's spelled so weird, you know, like, and that was the best way, you know, because styles in the underground is like a very popular term. Krystal is a very popular term in the pop world, and so I just put the two together, you know. And my name is Kris, so it's still
What
me.
do most people call you?
Most people call me Steezy.
Steezy?
And I think that stems from the well, actually, no. It depends on it's a generational thing. Like, you know, a lot of people like my age will call me Krystilez. And then those who know me really well will call me Steezy. Just because it's the same concept from your Snoop Dogg, right? Your Snoop Dizzles and your Yeezys, Weezys.
Oh, Snizzle.
Yeah.
Lil Weezy.
Yeah. So that's where Steezy came from.
Oh, okay. And what does Steezy mean? Is it like swagger? Kind of,
yeah. Like cool. Like, you know. But even Steezy's like almost outdated for this Gen A, you know. But Steezy basically means
steez before. Like you got a lot of steez. That guy has a lot of steez.
Yeah. So that's what Steezy is. Okay. Pretty much.
Cool. But like, I do know what it means, kind of.
You are kind of hip hop, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I loved growing up in high school. I wasn't really into like the Hawaiian stuff, local stuff. I was all into like the Western culture. And I mean, Tupac was my favorite rapper. I would like memorize Eminem songs. I listened to like Tribe Called Quest and all these old school like Kool and the Gang, and I'd print out papers and memorize all the verses of Rapper's Delight. You know, like all 20 million verses of that. Like when you're on karaoke, when you do it by yourself, you're just like, like, can somebody tap in, please? Because it just keeps going to the next person.
That's the reason I fell in love with hip hop too. Was you know, based on you talking about more into hip hop and Hawaiian stuff. Back when I was growing up, this is when like Capano was hot, Willie K. A lot of them never ventured into struggle and never ventured into like a person's like sad side or angry side. Everything's very jolly, love music. And I love that about Hawaiian music. But I also, that's what I always thought was missing at the time. I was like, you know, we're singing the same old love song while I'm over here like plotting so I can get a meal. You know what I mean? Like I'm plotting some bad stuff right now just so we can, I don't know, get a beer the next day. You know, like
and that's different. A lot of the lyrics in the, you know, these rap songs was a lot about struggle, you know. And I think people, I mean, me growing up in Hilo, I didn't have that kind of struggle as like Tupac and everybody, but it was still relatable to like kind of give you that vision of making it, of, you know, just like, or even like the song Changes, you know, it's like very inspirational stuff. So I love the lyricism and just like the messages on some of the songs. I mean, some of it, you know, is just like about fighting and gang, and some is just like very poetic, you know, like ghetto gospel and like stuff like that. So though that's the stuff that I really loved, and I would write poems and stuff like that as well.
So you got bars.
I got some bars.
Like sample.
I used to post it on YouTube, like really poems, and on Tumblr back when Tumblr was big, and I would write songs for my friend to sing on YouTube. That's how I like first started on like social media, was YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you post like spoken word? Was that like your thing? Or?
Pretty much. I wouldn't go to like any live stuff, but I would have basically spoken word poems.
Like what kind of stuff were you into? Like
well, I mean, I basically liked rap. I didn't really like spoken word. I didn't really like the intensity of it. Like like go into the moon when you're gloomy and like I didn't like that stuff. I was more just like, I liked rhyming.
So you had rhythm and like at least
like exactly so but I wasn't a rapper, but I liked these like creating rhymes and within the lines and bars and all kinds of stuff. So that was fun to me. Like I have like hundreds of notes in my phone just uncompleted.
Oh, you should try one. Stuff. Should try one.
I mean, I've posted stuff before, but I don't like rap.
Well, what's the difference?
It's spoken rap.
It's more
same. It's more like I'm more like Kanye Def Jam poetry than him dropping albums, you know.